Good morning. Thank you for joining me for another 5 good minutes with the Word. I'm Barry Bryson, and we're continuing our study of the book of Luke, and we're going to start to finish up chapter 8 today. And we are going to begin with verse 40. I think I told you last time, verse 25, but that was wrong. We're going to start today with verse 40, and we're going to read through verse 56. But we're only getting halfway through this material today. We'll finish it up next time. So, this is the third event in the linking of three events that are linked together in both Mark and Luke. These three miracle moments: the stilling of the storm, the casting out of the demon, and then the healing of the woman with the hemorrhage, and the raising of Jairus' daughter from the dead. So, each one of these miracles is in its own category. We have in the stilling of the storm, Jesus' power over the natural world, Jesus' power over the spiritual world in the casting out of the demons from Legion, Jesus being able to heal our infirmities, our ailments in the woman with the hemorrhaging, and then Jesus' power over life and death and his ability to raise the dead, which he's already done in Luke's gospel, of course. Luke is the only gospel writer that has two um, resurrection stories connected with Jesus. And anyway, Matthew and Mark had this one, the raising of Jairus' daughter. Only Luke has the widow of Nain, and only John has the raising of Lazarus. So Jesus was told, "You need to leave." Last time when he was on the eastern shore of the Sea of Galilee. So they got in their boats and they went back to the western shore towards Capernaum. And this is what happened when he got there. We're going to read these verses. And as Jesus returned, the multitude welcomed him, for they had all been waiting for him. And behold, there came a man named Jairus. He was an official of the synagogue. And he fell at Jesus' feet and began to plead with him to come to his house, because he had an only daughter, about 12 years old, and she was dying. But as he went, the multitudes were pressing against him. And a woman who had a hemorrhage for 12 years and could not be healed by anyone came up behind him and touched the fringe of his cloak, his garment, which is probably his prayer shawl, which would have had tassels attached to it. And that's what she's touching, this tassel of his prayer shawl. Anyway, came up behind him and touched the fringe of his cloak, and immediately her hemorrhage stopped. And Jesus said, "Who is the one who touched me?" And while they were all denying it, Peter said, "Master, the multitudes are crowding and pressing upon you." And Jesus said, "Someone did touch me. I was aware that power had gone out of me." And when the woman saw that she had not escaped, she noticed, escaped notice, she came trembling and fell down before him and declared in the presence of all the people the reason why she had touched him and how she had been immediately healed. And he said to her, "Daughter, your faith has made you well. Go in peace." And while he was still speaking, someone came from the house of the synagogue official saying, "Your daughter has died. Do not trouble the teacher anymore." But when Jesus heard this, he answered him, "Do not be afraid any more. Only believe, and she shall be made well." And when he had come to the house, he did not allow anyone to enter with him except Peter, James, and John, and the girl's father and mother. Now they were all weeping and lamenting for her, but he said, "Stop weeping. She hasn't died, but is asleep." And they began laughing at him, knowing that she had died. He, however, took her by the hand and called, saying, "Child, arise." And her spirit returned, and she rose up immediately. And he gave orders for something to be given to her to eat. And her parents were amazed, but he instructed them not to tell anyone what had happened. Okay, we don't have a lot of time today to get into the 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 two miracles, but just let me point out some parallels and some maybe differences between Luke and Mark. Read the two together. Luke is telling the story point by point, but he does not tell the story the way Mark tells the story. Mark withholds the fact that she's 12 years old. Mark gives us the very words that Jesus spoke, Talitha Kumi. Mark has Jesus calling the woman who was healed daughter. Um, and and uh, and Mark has the father calling his 12-year-old daughter, who in the next year or so will become betrothed to someone, and in a year or two later, at 13, 14, she'll get engaged. At 15, 16, she's going to be married, probably. Um, at 12 years old, she's not a baby girl, but that's what in Mark's gospel he calls her, and that's what Jesus calls her as well. We have all of these bits of storytelling of the art of the storyteller that we have in Mark's gospel that we don't have in Luke's gospel, that to me enriches the story. But the point Mark's making a different point. It's not in Mark, it's not just that Jesus raises the dead. It's the way God sees us, which Luke is going to tell us all about when he shares with us what we don't have anywhere else, which is the parable of the prodigal son. But we have that same notion in Mark's telling of this miracle event, that God sees us as his children, that he loves and that he cares for. In Mark's gospel, whenever Jesus calls the woman daughter, your faith has made you, and says, your faith has made you well. Jesus is saying to everybody there, and particularly to the father, Jairus, Jesus is saying, I'm coming to help your daughter, but I'm going to help my daughter too. Daughter, your faith has saved you. And Jesus, in using the same word that the man used, baby girl, my baby girl is sick and near death, you need to come. And Jesus, in calling her the same thing, calling her baby girl, is saying, I see her the way you see her. And I love her the way you love her. It's God saying to every parent, that child was mine first. I gave them to you in trust. You can't love them more than I do. You can't. And that's something that every parent needs to hear. We get that in addition to just the evidence of the miracle itself. Luke lets Mark do that, um, and gives us the facts and demonstrates the power of Jesus and the effect that it has. Okay, we'll talk more about these two healings in particular next time. Thank you for joining me for another 5 Good Minutes with the Word.